The trap of overthinking. Why you can't get rich. In today's modern society, many people dream of various plans to get rich. But why can only a few achieve those dreams? Psychologist Barry Schwartz proposed the theory of choice, explaining that having too many options can lead to a phenomenon called paralysis of action. When faced with too many choices, people often fall into the trap of overthinking, worrying about making the wrong decision, which leads to procrastination and complete abandonment. A renowned economist also found in their research that overthinking increases the complexity of decision-making and reduces the ability to act. The writer Vong Din Quan once told a story about a tofu seller. Because he didn't earn much money, he often thought about changing careers. Every day, this tofu seller had to wake up early and start working in his small, old shop. He made tofu while serving a steady stream of customers. Each night, as darkness fell, he sat exhausted in his kitchen under dim light, thinking about various plans. He once considered selling his tofu shop, then buying a donkey to transport salt and gradually expanding into a larger transport team. But when he thought about the potential challenges, he abandoned the idea. This internal struggle repeated every day. In the end, he continued selling tofu, and nothing in his life changed. Every evening, he made plans for the future, selling the tofu shop, buying a donkey to transport salt, then earning money and expanding the transport team. But then he wondered, what if raising a donkey fails? What if the transport business doesn't go smoothly? Every night, he tossed and turned, thinking. But the next morning, he sold tofu as usual. For his entire life, he kept selling tofu, living in a deadlock with no way out. An entrepreneur once said, "Always waiting for the future without acting is a hard-to-break habit of most poor people. No matter how perfect a plan is, if you don't act, it's useless. No matter how beautiful your dream of getting rich is, if you don't pursue it, it's just a pipe dream." The reason someone doesn't become rich lies in thinking too much but acting too little. There's a story about two brothers. Both recognized the potential in the shoe industry and decided to each open their own shoe workshop. The older brother took action immediately. He hired workers, bought machinery and materials, and within less than half a month, he brought his products to market. He personally oversaw every detail in the production line. The older brother ensured each pair of shoes met market standards and quality demands. Meanwhile, the younger brother kept researching market information, seeking opinions from industry experts, and worrying that he wouldn't be able to compete with others. He even made a detailed list of risks. But this repetitive overthinking ultimately caused him to miss a good opportunity to test the market. The younger brother constantly fretted about the number of shoe workshops already in the market, asking himself, how can I compete with others? And if I fail, how will I cover the losses? He kept hesitating, endlessly thinking. Meanwhile, the older brother's business grew day by day. In the end, the younger brother remained stuck in place, unable to change anything. Before we dive deeper, don't forget to follow the channel for more truths about money and to help you achieve financial freedom quickly. Think Billionaires channel welcomes you all. Renowned economists have said that what truly prevents you from achieving wealth isn't intelligence or ability, but overthinking. Behavioral economics research shows that action bias is a key factor influencing human decisions. People often overestimate the risks of acting and underestimate the cost of inaction. The sunk cost effect in psychology also explains why people easily fall into overthinking. The time and effort already invested make it hard for them to let go, leading to constant worrying. Research data also reveals that successful people prioritize execution over a perfect plan. In reality, many people are like this. There are plenty of opportunities right in front of them, but they keep looking around, overanalyzing every detail, worrying about how others perceive them, fearing failure, and avoiding risks. The result? As the saying goes, at night they think of 1,000 paths, but in the morning they walk the same old one. No matter how many plans they make, without turning them into concrete actions, they amount to nothing. A famous writer once spoke about the greatest regret of his life. It was when he was 24 years old. At the time, he was a reporter attending an industry conference. There, a man approached him and asked, "Would you like to be the secretary to the CEO of a well-known company?" He thought about it for a long time, worrying whether his height was up to standard, his foreign language skills were too limited, his personality wasn't suitable, and his major wasn't relevant. The more he thought, the more he doubted himself. The man seemed puzzled, wondering why he was overthinking so much. Opportunities don't come knocking 3 or 4 times. That conversation with the man made him reflect on his career. The man had explained in detail the company's growth prospects and described the role of the CEO secretary. However, his mind continued to worry about his height, language skills, and whether his personality fit the role of a secretary. In the end, his hesitation caused him to miss the opportunity. Years later, recalling that experience, he couldn't help but feel regret. The real barrier holding him back was the doubt in his own heart. He didn't join that company and ultimately missed a crucial opportunity. Japanese writer Matsuru Mataro once said, "Poor people are often trapped in anxiety and insecurity, suffering from the disease of overthinking." Overthinking not only wastes time and energy, but also weakens a person's determination and will to act. Mental hesitation is the greatest enemy in work and life. When you're stuck in hesitation and indecision, you can only let opportunities slip away, pushing wealth further out of reach. A business consultant once said, "The gap between thinking and results is action." It's this gap that creates the difference between the rich and the poor. The process of building wealth is, in essence, the process of eliminating unnecessary thoughts and turning ideas into reality. Writer Pham Hai Dao shared an experience of his own. At the age of 30, he was working at a small company with a low salary. To change his life, he decided to study abroad to improve himself. From the moment he made the plan, his mind was flooded with thoughts and worries. Is it worth giving up my current job? Before deciding to go abroad, he hesitated a lot. He discussed the plan with friends and received mixed opinions. Some encouraged him to pursue his dream, while others advised him to live a stable life. He also talked with his family. His parents worried whether he could adapt to life abroad, and the family's financial situation didn't allow him to be away for long. But a single sentence from his teacher woke him up. Thinking 1,000 times isn't as good as trying once. At least you won't have regrets. This became the motivation for him to make up his mind. At 30, isn't it too late to study abroad? He wondered, also worrying about his mother's health. Will it be okay to be so far away? Finally, he sought advice from a university professor who repeated the same words. Thinking 1,000 times isn't as good as trying once. At least you won't have regrets. With that, he made up his mind and began studying for the exam immediately. He successfully passed the GRE, was accepted into Columbia University, and earned a master's degree in oral history. Upon returning to his country, he founded an office and published a series of works. Later, he became a best-selling author. At that time, reflecting on the experience, Pham Hai Dao said, "What I'm most grateful for is that I dared to take action at that moment." The CEO of Logic Thinking once said, "Life always presents dilemmas. If you're torn between doing and not doing, don't overthink, just act." In the Bible, there's a symbolic story. On the way to the Holy Land, a group of slaves was blocked by the Dead Sea. The sea was red, with death floating on its surface. Above, the sky was dark with clouds. Faced with this scene, the people seemed unable to move forward. But when Moses stepped forward, the sea and sky cleared, and the Dead Sea parted in two, opening a wide path for the people to pass through. Life is often like this. When you hesitate, all you see are obstacles. But when you take a step, the path of life opens up before you. On the road to wealth, there will never be a perfect plan or an ideal moment. Instead of imagining difficulties and staying stuck, prioritize action and take proactive steps. To overcome the problem of overthinking, create a specific action plan. For example, you can set a small daily goal to make gradual progress. Step by step, use time management tools like the Pomodoro method. Focus on a task for 25 minutes, rest for 5 minutes, then move on to the next task. Build a network of friends or colleagues with similar goals to monitor and encourage each other. This approach not only improves your ability to act, but also increases your chances of success. If you don't walk the path, you won't reach the destination. If you don't do the task, it won't get done. Action is the key to unlocking the door to wealth. Only by taking action will the future you desire come to you. Fortune magazine once conducted a study, surveying 500 top companies, analyzing their development processes, and summarizing the key factors leading to success. The conclusion showed that a company's success is 5% due to strategy and 95% due to execution. It's the same for companies as it is for individuals. Most legends in history were ordinary people. They just turned their thoughts into actions. Wealth also favors those who act on their words. Focus on action. When Henry Ford first entered the automotive industry, he noticed that most cars use steam engines. At the time, many people continued to improve steam engines. But Ford, then just a low-level employee, thought, if cars can run on steam, can they run on gasoline? When he shared the idea, many shook their heads, thinking, is that realistic? What about the costs? What if it fails? But Ford didn't overthink it. He immediately set a goal to change the power source for cars. He learned mechanics at a factory and used his free time to research fuel engines. Through persistent effort, he successfully built a fuel engine and created the first gasoline-powered car at just 29 years old. It was this decisive action that led Ford to a breakthrough, making him the king of automobiles in America. Steve Jobs once said, "Your time is limited. Don't waste it living someone else's life." This emphasizes the importance of action. Don't get lost in daydreams and plans. Elon Musk also said, no matter how great an idea is, among billions of people in the world, thousands have thought of it. You can only get ahead of them by turning your idea into action immediately. Anything that remains just a thought will never bear results. Turn "I'll think about it more" into "I'll do it now." Act first, then refine later. This is the foundation of wealth. Every minute you act early is a minute closer to the life you dream of. The family is also a school, and the interactions between its members deeply influence each person's development. Research shows that a positive family environment can significantly improve a child's confidence and ability to act. Parents' actions and words subtly affect their children. Good communication and positive support foster a child's spirit of risk-taking and execution. For example, the whole family can create a plan together, setting goals and tasks for each member, discussing progress regularly, and encouraging and supporting each other. Two MIT economics professors, Abhijit and Esther, conducted surveys in 18 of the poorest areas. They discovered interesting findings, such as poor families, despite not having enough to eat, still bought TVs, filling their homes with possessions. Interactions among family members often involved arguments and harsh words. In their book, The Nature of Poverty, The professors concluded that poverty isn't just a material state, but also a mental and living condition. If a family is drowning in clutter, that family will never prosper. America's The Atlantic magazine once published an article on societal consumption patterns. As goods become more abundant, a phenomenon emerges. Low-income groups often spend money on unnecessary items like handbags, clothing, and electronics, while high-income groups invest in more valuable things like sports, books, and educational courses. The article concluded that in this material age, a person's wealth or poverty isn't just determined by their ability to earn money, but also by how they spend it. For the average person, every penny saved is capital for future opportunities. If you only shop, your house will become filled with useless items, and you'll gradually become poorer. I know a couple who are both regular salaried workers with a modest income, just enough to get by. If they planned carefully, they could save a little each month. But they never made a spending plan, always ending up in credit card debt each month. The husband, seeing a colleague buy a new car, followed suit and bought one. The wife, every time she went shopping, brought home bags of all sizes. When you step into their house, you'll see a shoe cabinet stuffed with dozens of pairs of shoes and shelves packed with all kinds of handbags. I once gently advised them to know when to spend and when to save, or they'd struggle to cope with unexpected events. But neither listened, continuing to spend lavishly. By the end of the year, the husband was laid off by his company, and on top of that, his parents suffered complications from the flu, leading to high medical expenses that left them in dire straits. During that time, the couple could only lament, regretting not having saved for tough times. When we own material possessions, in reality, they end up consuming our time, money, and energy. Reducing spending to improve your life is the most essential skill for an ordinary person to break through their financial limitations in this materialistic society. In the book Family on Fire, the main character, Caroline, constantly scolded her family over small things. Her daughter left her room messy. Her son forgot his school books. Her husband always came home late. One evening, while preparing dinner, she asked everyone to help. Her husband and son were busy playing video games, and only her daughter came to help arrange the dishes. Instead of praising her, Caroline scolded the girl for doing so little, making her daughter feel hurt and argue back. Hearing this, the husband stepped in to defend the daughter. Then Caroline turned to blame her husband. In the end, the daughter, upset, ran away from home, and the husband and son no longer wanted to speak to her. A family that isn't united can hardly prosper. To grow, you must first eliminate emotional clutter in the family. There's a fishbowl shop that's always crowded, with customers lining up for dozens of meters every day. Upon observing, I noticed that the family members in this shop provide emotional value to each other. When they almost broke a bowl, the owner immediately took the blame, while the wife chimed in, blaming the placement of the bowl. Even the 70-year-old mother joined in, taking responsibility for not helping. Thanks to this harmony, their business thrived. Often, a family remains poor because its members drain each other. If family members unite, criticize less, and encourage more, the family will grow increasingly prosperous. I once saw someone share that a poor family is like a landfill. This person recounted that his mother spent all day gossiping, bad-mouthing others, and dwelling on trivial neighborly matters, to the point that he thought life was just that. His father constantly swore, and he, too, picked up the habit of using profanity. I remember a little girl named Mimi, who grew up in a completely different family environment from that person. On the way home, Mimi's father asked her in English about the Russia-Ukraine situation. Though it was a difficult question even for adults, Mimi thought for a moment and answered fluently, expressing sympathy for those suffering from the war. She mentioned she was reading Romance of the Three Kingdoms and compared the current situation to history. The US and NATO are like Chow Chow, Russia is like Sun Quan, and Ukraine is the contested land of Jingzhou. She also offered logical analyses. People admired not only Mimi's English skills and knowledge, but also her father's vision and wisdom. While other families waste energy on trivial matters, Mimi and her father discussed meaningful topics. I strongly agree with the view that the family is also a place for personal growth, where members are both teachers and students to each other. If a family only produces informational clutter, we won't progress or mature. There's a belief that a dirty house makes it hard to attract wealth, and poverty will cling to those without blessings. If your family is filled with material clutter, emotional clutter, and informational clutter, unfortunately, luck and fortune will drift away from you. A family that wants to advance must clean up these types of clutter. When I was young, I studied a story called The Tale of Two Monks of Shu. The story is about two monks living in the land of Shu, one poor, the other rich. Both dreamed of making a pilgrimage to the South Sea, but their choices and actions were entirely different, leading to two distinct outcomes. The wealthy monk, fearing the stormy seas and the long journey, was always hesitant and never resolute enough to set out. Day after day, he kept thinking about all the possible difficulties and risks. What if there's a storm? Isn't the journey too long? How much supplies do I need to ensure safety? These worries kept him from ever taking a step, trapped in anxiety about the future and uncertainty. Meanwhile, the poor monk was completely different. He didn't have many worries or concerns. With just a bottle of water and a staff, he set out on his pilgrimage with determination. Along the way, he faced rain and hardships, but nothing could stop him. He believed that as long as he started acting, every difficulty would find a solution. With unwavering faith and persistent will, the poor monk finally reached the South Sea, successfully completing his journey and returning safely. He not only fulfilled his pilgrimage dream, but also brought back profound experiences and lessons. Meanwhile, the wealthy monk remained lost in his thoughts, unable to take a single step from his starting point. Despite having better material conditions than the poor monk, his excessive worry and hesitation pushed him further from his dream. The greatest difference between them wasn't in external conditions, but in their inner resolve and ability to act. Everything in life begins with thought, but requires action. Those who stand still and daydream will forever be held back by difficulties, while those who dare to move forward are the ones who truly change their fate. This story reminds us that to achieve life's goals, dreams and plans alone aren't enough. You must act. Think less, hesitate less, dare to challenge yourself, and act more. Only then can we use our own hands to open the door to success. No matter how many challenges you face, as long as you're brave and determined to act, the path to success will widen beneath your feet. I hope that both you and I will hesitate less, act more, take those first courageous steps, and use real actions to welcome a richer and more successful future. Due to time constraints, I'll end the video here. I share free knowledge on how to become wealthy, an entrepreneur, an investor, and achieve financial freedom. If you don't want to miss out, please follow my channel, turn on notifications, and share this video freely. I sincerely wish everyone who liked this video achieves financial freedom soon. As long as you find one or two helpful quotes in this video that improve your life, I'm already fulfilled.